A train wrecked a spinning fire. The NFT analyzer, diving deep into projects. He's the crypto energizer. From meme coins to tokens, he's got all the intel. Web3 trees show you where to excel. He's got the insights like a digital magician, unveiling secrets of the blockchain with precision.
Good morning, Mega GMs. And man, welcome to the New Year's Eve show. This is cool. I've been looking forward to today's episode especially, which, yes, I started early. Probably should have started way earlier. Probably this should probably be a 2-hour show or 3 hours or I don't know if or how or what we fit this into an hour. I don't know. CJ, good shit. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. First off, GM CJ, good to see you, man. Good morning, Southport. Happy New Year, bro. Okay, started early because, look, this might actually be a 2-part show with a little break in the middle. Might be, right? I've got a meeting coming up in like an hour and 20 minutes or something. There's real life stuff. There's work. I was initially prepping this show to be, I wanted to do the top 25 of 25, and we do a version of that here today. But I also really wanted to do predictions for 2026, and these shows take a lot of prep. They do, and I always get surprised at how much they take. When I did the Fusaka upgrade episode, it wasn't great. And that was with like 5+ hours of prep. They always surprise me how much more time they take. And so I went into prepping for a 2026 preview and prediction show, and same thing, hours into it, and realized that's still not enough to talk about, especially focusing on privacy stuff, to focus on the platforms, the blockchains, the protocols. I got the list. I got plenty of info, plenty of stuff. I'm familiar-ish, but I'm like, it's not enough. I'm not going to do a show like that needs some really good like polish. I'm not going to do that when it's not ready. I hope that's tomorrow. If not, it'll absolutely be next week, and maybe it's broken down by topic: privacy, AI, robotics, on-chain stock trading. You know what I mean? But it definitely didn't feel right for today. It wasn't ready for today. So that kind of sucks. Apologies for that. But it just means like this show turned into what it was supposed to be, which is looking back at 2025 and what happened. Now, as I was doing that, how do you pick 25 of the top moments? How do you even rank them? I've tried it before. I've done it with, Henry on Chart Monkeys, and, you can do it. But as I was prepping, I'm like, dude, it's just way more fun, at least for me, to go through everything that happened on basically a weekly basis. And just like, I forgot how many big things actually happened over the year. And so that's what I want to do today, is go week by week and cover all the things that happened. And luckily I can do that because I cover this space, daily, streamed. Today's the 365th stream of the year, which is crazy. That streak's going to end next year, by the way. I'm pretty damn sure. But I also do a newsletter that has happened now for 52 weeks this year, and actually going before that for the prior 3.5 years. We're on 4.5 years of at least one newsletter a week. And most people don't know about it, which is awesome. Man, Southport, bro, I'm kind of with you, although I still love and still think it's got crazy potential. Did you see Katz just put this on my radar? Virtuals has like a 2025 year in review. If you go to Virtuals website, I'm in the top 5% of traders. Okay, this is gonna, you guys might clown on me for this. I did under $4,000 in volume on Virtuals. I didn't trade much. I told you all year I didn't trade much. Part of that is because I'm so close to it. Because I had these projects on the show. I didn't want any funny business there. I didn't want people to think anything. You know what I mean? I didn't trade much. I covered it, but I didn't trade much on Virtuals. And my biggest win was the Virgin token, which actually cooked on that. Most of my volume was probably on Virgin. I didn't really trade Virtuals. I just kept up with it. And I'm watching for the big opportunity that comes. But I think that also shows if there was a big opportunity and it was easy, like super easy, big opportunity, whatever, I would have probably been all over that. And it kind of wasn't there. There were lots of opportunities, but the big one wasn't there. Wasn't there. Facey, dude, Facey was a monster. And there were other plays, Iris. For me, Virgin, though, was the absolute best play of the year because I didn't have to do anything. It just showed up for me. That's the kind of stuff I want, man. It's the kind of thing I'm looking for next year. All right. So I really started early so I can get us off the ground and we can hit the ground running right at the top of the hour. So let's do this. We're live, all the usual places. I got you, Dad. I just saw your message. We're live on Abstract. We're live on X. We're live on Zora. We're live on Retake. We're live on Kick. We might even be live on Pump Fun today. I think we are. We're live on Twitch. But guys, home base right over there on YouTube. Hit the like wherever you're watching, but come over to the YouTube side. Subscribe over here. It's Crypto Slam. Lots more coming, man. And like I was saying before, with the focus on like putting the time into platforms that they need, that they deserve, that I think you guys probably want more of, like understanding platforms, not just me mentioning it and what's their news. No, it's like get into the platform. Expect more of that coming this year. Picture the Fusaka thing, but if it were good. Picture if I want to talk about privacy platforms and we start talking about Midnight, and we start talking about Shade, and we talk about Mute Swap, but it's not just mentioning them as these are things to focus on. No, it's going on the platform. It's explaining how it works and why it matters, right? That's how we do it. Good morning, Luna. All right, let me keep moving. I'm sorry, because we are gonna run out. We're gonna have a timing issue today. You guys are the best, by the way. So I want to make sure when you guys have stuff going on that I show the whole gang here. I'm going to drop this in the chat, but our buddy Dead has made a badge over on, what is this? What's the platform called, Dead? Open something. I set up an account here or a profile here like a week or two ago, and I think I'm set up ready to claim, so I'm going to claim this bad boy. Can I just do it now? I just did it now. I claimed it. Open page. There we go. Dead's a great freaking artist, by the way. Grab Dead's badge over on Open Page. I think more to come that I'm sure he'll share when it's time. But let's get ready. Let's get ready for this thing, man. You can follow me at Hudah_idiot. Follow us at Slam Nation X over on X. This is for builders, guys, especially if you're a builder. Midnight. That's what's up. Happy New Year, bro. Man's living in the future. 2026 is here. Good stuff. Happy New Year, man. Join us in Slam Nation X. If you're a builder, crypto AI, I want you on the show, and I want to plug you into our data at Crypto Slam. Reach out to us here. We'll give you credits to access our API. If you need endpoints, we'll build them. We love builders. Follow us at Crypto Slam IO. By the way, all of our link me, Luna, if you don't mind, sir. All of our stories today are coming directly from my newsletter, guys. I don't, I'm not gonna say it's the best newsletter out there. It's not. It's one of the longest running ones. It is for sure that, but it's especially on a show like today where I see how freaking cool it is that I can go review the entire year just at a glance. Crazy stuff. To get to it, first off, follow Crypto Slam IO, but go to our link tree, which is here in the links, right? Go to our link tree, click on NFTs on deck. Probably need to rename it because it's more focused on crypto and AI now. But that's where everything from today is getting sourced from. And then finally, look, I'm not supposed to talk about this thing at all. I'm not. I'm supposed to just say go to ethoswarm.ai and sign up. That's all I'm supposed to say. I'm going to go a step further. I hope the team isn't watching because I can't say anything. I'm going to say this. I've been playing with it. I'm not telling what it is, anything like that. I'm just going to say I've been playing with it. And I'm very honest about what I do and our stuff and what I like and how I think it's going to be accepted. I'm just going to say this, man. This is one of the most delightful AI products I've ever used. And it's not hyperbole. It blows me away. And that's all I'm going to say. And I think when people get to play with it, get their hands on, I think it's going to make people rethink how they use AI. I again, like, I'm not supposed to, even though I'm not saying anything, I'm not even supposed to do that. I just like, I'm shocked by it. I am. So that's all I'm going to say. Just sign up on ethoswarm.ai and get ready for it. Coming early this year. New trailer just dropped. Just get ready. It's magic. Okay. All right, let's kick it off with the very first week. And man, I hope this is not going to be hard to see, but we're going to make it work. I'm doing it right from the newsletter. Again, all of you guys maybe have this in your inbox already, but going back and reviewing it is just the craziest thing. Okay, kicking it off with the first week of January, and we're just going to look at where we were at that week, what we were talking about, what was moving that week. And the first week of January was, you remember it, I'm sure, AI. AI dominated. End of last year, the year started out exactly like that. Now, I forgot how dominant AI was back then. I forgot that back in January, the first week, AI 16Z was at an all-time high. AI 16Z, funny enough, full circle, Shaw being back, AI 16Z's Eliza OS, they got new products coming. So again, the timing's interesting. AI 16Z, the first week of January, hit a 2.4 bill market cap. And we were talking about it like an infrastructure token. I was, for sure. And I still believe we see $100 million AI coin at some point. Excuse me, $100 billion coin. I mean that. I do think we see a top 10 crypto that's an AI token. But at 2.4 bill, and us starting to think this thing maybe goes to 10 bill. This maybe goes to 20. This maybe goes to 50. Like, would AI 16Z be the one? In hindsight, no. The more we learned about it, the more we realized what it was, what it wasn't. But we started the year with that token leading the way, and the future and potential for AI couldn't have been bigger. And it wasn't. Truth is, it wasn't. We were also talking about Bitcoin prices, speculating on when do we see Bitcoin all-time high. And funny enough, back in January, the first week, we were predicting Bitcoin all-time high comes in October. We talked about that right here, based on having trends, which we know don't matter, or do they? Because we did hit an all-time high in October. We got that right. And then we were also talking about FTX repayments, which I thought, a lot of us thought would actually move this market. We were talking about billions of dollars. $16 billion was getting repaid to creditors. Pennies on the dollar, yes, but still $16 billion. That, I think at that point you had to register for it, right? That was the cutoff right then. But we knew a $16 billion stimmy, but also like sell pressure was going to hit this market. Wild stuff. Now, we're not going to cover, well, we are going to talk NFTs. I'm going to cover mostly just the headlines, but I want to say we'll look at NFT volume over the course of the year, compare it to where we're at now. And if you guys, tuned in yesterday, day before, we're at like 61 mil for weekly sales volume. We just hit a 4.5-year low. We hit the second lowest we've seen like ever for like the modern NFT market. Only time we were lower was the peak of the bear market, 2023, when we hit 55 mil in sales. We hit 61 mil in sales, and that's it. While the first week of January, we're at 130 mil. And it was kind of not super hot back then, but that's where we were. Right into the second week of January, and we started with a little kind of bump in the road. I don't remember Bitcoin price first week, but the second week we fell to 89K with still a lot of hype, a lot of hope, whatever. But also in that second week, AI tokens got wrecked. And this is more like broader economy concerns, right? It was exactly what we're kind of been going through the past few months. It was PPI, flat or up. Cost of living was a concern back then. Here's Bitcoin at 95K on the day this came out, but we touched 89K that day. AI tokens got wrecked following that all-time high for AI 16Z. These AI tokens fell 25 to 50%. And you can see this here. You see AI 16Z over a week falls 54%. Crazy. Virtuals with a 40% dump. Fartcoin, Turbo, all those same ones, and a lot of those are familiar still. We still talk about those ones almost on a daily basis. But 25 to 50%. Market got spooked, man. Market got spooked, and maybe rightfully so. Now, back then, it's funny, the things we forget, the things I forgot especially. The second week of January is when AI Accelerate came. And you guys remember that. That seemed like this really strange, insidery, good old boys club. And it wasn't that, I don't know, but we had this DAO with these big, just some of the biggest names in the industry who were part of this thing. We've got Coinbase and Google and AI16Z and Virtuals and Astra, just some people from some of the biggest, institutions here in crypto, the bankless guys who all got free tokens. It wasn't a pre-sale they got into. They got a free token drop. And some of them sold it. Was it a pre-sale or did they get free? I think they got free tokens, man. Some of them sold and they got crazy backlash for it. GM Zober, good to see you, man. Happy New Year's Eve, dude. Or New Year's, depending where you're at. The backlash was severe. There were some good guys that got that token that didn't deserve backlash, but somebody like Sammy got just brutalized on the timeline. When he didn't sell his tokens, he moved him to a secure location, right? But what a wild thing. Wild thing. And that token ripped to, 200 plus mil market cap. I think it's probably a nothing burger right now. But it was probably the story of that second week of the year. That point, we were looking forward to the Trump inauguration the next week. So we were excited. Keep in mind the NFT at that market at that point, 140 mil. What was happening? I'm just going to peek real quick. What even was happening in the NFT market then? Just kind of curious. Hypeo NFTs announced that the other side would go live in June with the persistent metaverse. I don't think it went live June though. I think it actually went later. AI16Z partner NFTs, Quantum Cats Turn 1. Yeah, just interesting stuff back then. And then on to the third week of January, this is the Trump inauguration. Of course, we were ramping up our bull campaign, right? Tweet at the bull and he'll send you coins. I think I'm so proud of the stuff we did this year. I think it was so cool that you could farm tokens, earn tokens from talking to an AI agent. If you convinced him to send you tokens, he would. Now, how this played out, those tokens converted to Swarm. So if you farm bull, you got Swarm tokens. Again, cool as hell. Cool as hell. I think innovative. I think clever. When I do that, I'm not doing it in a conceited way because I didn't do any of that. I got to watch the team cook. And I'm proud of what they did. I think they did something very unique, very different. I think those boys rock. Super cool. By the way, let me throw a link to the stream in the chat. Throw some love on that. Donald Trump inauguration, our president. And also not just our president that week, but hosted the crypto ball, big celebration of crypto, the biggest names in the industry at the crypto ball. And the magic moment happened there. Maybe it wasn't so magic in hindsight, but the launch of the Donald Trump official meme coin, the Trump coin. And all of a sudden we're like, buckle up. If this is what 25 is going to be, then everything we dreamed is actually going to happen. We're all going to make it. WAGMI vibes came back for the first time in years. We were all actually going to make it. A lot of us were early to that coin too. If you didn't catch it in the first, 15 minutes, if you were in the first hour, you made money, right? A lot of us were able to get in at like 5 bill FDV. Some people earlier, but 5 bill, 10 bill, even if you got in at 10, this thing ran to 70 bill. Monster token. The beginning of the end in a way too. This was the green light that anybody can launch a coin, a meme coin, a utility coin. It didn't matter. Anybody who was sitting on the sideline saying they're never going to launch a coin, they could because the president just did. If he can do it, anybody could. But the beginning of the end, because of exactly that, because anybody can and anybody would, well, they did. Melania coin followed it up. Within what, 2 days, 3 days, the Melania coin comes. Keep in mind when the Trump coin came out, keep in mind what happened around it. It was every other meme coin getting wrecked. Everybody's selling what they had to get liquid enough to buy the Trump coin. What would be bigger than a Trump coin? Well, nothing. So every other meme coin took a massive dump as people got liquid to go buy Trump. And then the same thing happened with Melania to a lesser degree, but it happened there. And so crazy that we did onboard normies. We did. And we had them already from like Chill Guy. We were definitely in the normie part of the cycle at that point. We didn't realize it at the time, maybe. Didn't appreciate it, but it's what was happening. Solana hit an all-time high. You couldn't even buy Sol, really. You could buy it, but you had hours you were waiting on Coinbase for your deposits to hit. I remember this so clearly. I was shocked at the volume we were seeing. Solana touched 286. Phantom couldn't keep up with all the buy pressure and sell pressure, whatever, all the action, all the volume. 8 million requests per minute. Phantom broke. Crazy stuff. And at the same time, Bitcoin hits an all-time high. 109K. Beautiful stuff. 109K while we're also looking at, I mean, it was pretty cool. We were looking at search trends. Let me see if I zoom. Can you guys see this okay? I think you can. Like, it's not perfect, but Sir Billy, good morning, man. So we look at, Google search trends, and we see Bitcoin absolutely ramping up. I hope you can see, but absolutely ticking up. People looking up, searching Bitcoin again, but well off our all-time high, well off the 21 peak, 22 peak, whatever, well off the peak, well, like not half of it. And we'll come back to those numbers here in a little bit, but it felt like there was so much further to go, and truthfully, there was, but still kind of the beginning of the end. NFT volume at that point, 174 mil that week. Huge volume. Huge volume. Now, the following week, already things start getting bumpy. What was going on here? Hang on. Oh, yeah. We launched Slam AI. Slam AI. Now, this ends up giving birth to the Swarm Agent and Wallet DNA, and we'll touch on that too. But we opened up a wait list and allow list for Slam. More on that coming soon. Just stay tuned to all the comms. But it kind of the beginning of, our journey in AI, which truthfully we started years back. But really, really cool. Okay. The very next week, it's Bitcoin crashes. After we just hit all-time high, Bitcoin dumps to 98K. 98K. I remember that time too. I remember like when the uncertainty hit. I remember that. I remember we were celebrating that crossing over that 100K threshold, right? We had like the space was celebrating. It was awesome. That week though, the AI sector took a big hit. One that we didn't recover from. We didn't really recover from it. It was the launch of DeepSeek. You guys remember that? This cheap AI model that took just a couple months to launch. It cost only $10 million to create. It was as good as ChatGPT, if not better, faster, yeah, maybe smarter. I don't think we fully knew like the depths of it. And in fact, I don't hear much about it these days. So I don't know if it was even good. I don't know. But that was the word out there, and it was very disruptive to the AI industry. NVIDIA stock prices fell 16%. It was the week that DeepSeek changed everything. It was the most downloaded app in the App Store. Pretty crazy stuff. Okay. At the same time, we're focused on crypto and what does it mean to have a pro crypto administration? What does that mean for crypto? How do things change? How crazy can this get? We're still thinking we're nowhere near the top of this cycle. And we weren't. We weren't yet, but it was this week that we got our executive order. This was a cool one. It wasn't the one we were waiting for, but our executive order to establish a digital asset stockpile. It was our order to hold crypto, not sell crypto. And this was stuff like Silk Road Bitcoin, right? Important moment. NFT volume at that time, 172 mil. So what? 3 times higher than we're at now. Crazy stuff. And then the next week is where things start getting a little rocky. Well, we launched our Telegram group right then too. Which, by the way, I got to mention, is I think it's the only channel we have open now. Our Discord's not closed, but it's not open for chatting. It's Telegram. Telegram's where you reach us now. So just a heads up about that. But the very next week is when things got rocky. It was the start of the tariff wars. The tariff wars. Man. I love this, by the way. I love it. We'll do our 26 predictions, maybe at the tail end here, but again, especially tomorrow, I think we get deeper into predictions. The tariff wars begin. It's Trump threatening Mexico and Canada and China with tariffs, and it was them threatening right back. And the markets, like you'd guess, didn't like it. Bitcoin falls 10%, down to 91K, bounces back. Right back over 100K when Trump rescinds the tariffs, right? It's a game. It's a war of words, and the market reacted to it, with volatility. The market started getting used to the war of words, and it reacted less and less and less. But again, when it first happened, it was game over, and then game back on, then game over again. I remember it wasn't fun, but volatility is where there's also opportunity. And there certainly was there. It was also the first time, at least, I started hearing about the end of the 4-year cycle. And I love this. I love Matt Hogan from Bitwise has been saying this since early 25. 4-year cycle's done. In fact, this has been like burned in my brain. I remember it. Said he wouldn't bet against crypto in 26. Is he right? Well, we find out. We find out soon. Starting tomorrow, we start finding out. Did we really top in October? Or do we have a 26 that, confirms for us that the 4-year cycle's done? I lean that way. We had Trump officially signing this executive order to create the strategic, what was it? This was the sovereign wealth fund that does include crypto. So another one of those moments where you're like, oh, they're really taking crypto seriously. They want to make us the crypto capital of the world. They're doing it damn near every week at this point. There's something coming. Every week we had something on that front. It felt like it. But NFT volume started feeling not great. Certainly better than now, but we didn't ride that rocket ship like I thought we were going to. In fact, pretty much just flat. We didn't see that January boom like I was expecting. I thought January we'd explode, and it didn't. It was better than now for sure, but we didn't explode. Mostly kind of flat. 111 mil in sales that week, down almost 35% here. What was going on? I just want to peek what was happening that week. Pudgy Penguins partnership with Pez, pretty cool. Yuga Labs had a Project Dragon session, cool. OpenSea talking about TGE and their new platform OS2. Randy coming on the Swarm Report, I think for the first time, cool milestone there. And then we head deeper into meme coin territory. Hudah Girl had launched her meme coin. Dave Portnoy started getting like very vocal on the timeline about meme coins. Jailstool comes out, and Dave, I don't believe Dave launched it, but Dave dove, head first into it and was tweeting about it and was talking about, look, I'll hold all my Jailstool till at least 500 mil. This man is pumping this coin, talking this thing's going to 500 mil. What a time to be alive, man. Again, Trump had his coin. Melania had the coin, Hudah. And it was at this time, too, where Hudah was doing like damage control. She's on a podcast with Thread Guy and FaZe Banks. In fact, I'll even pull some of this up as we're talking. But it's explaining what happened. Her team fucked her over. I feel bad for this girl. This killed her career in a way. I think it did. We've never seen her the same way we did before. I believe that happened. Now, my kids still will say Hudah and stuff, right? Which sucks. But I think this was a big, it's hard to say misstep because it wasn't her, but her agreeing to do a meme coin. Well, we see what that does to people now. We saw it, especially with her. We had the OpenSea Foundation website launch. And so we start digging in more and more and more into, well, what does that mean? What's coming? The token we knew was coming, right? But it was the ramping up of OpenSea's change. Kanye talking about crypto. Kanye ended up meeting with Ansem talking crypto. Pretty interesting stuff. Questioned, and he's doing this on the timeline, is crypto real money, right? But interested in crypto, says he's not going to drop the token, deactivates his X account. Definitely wasn't the end for Kanye on chain. We'll see that later, but was wild. We had Barachain tokenomics launching there. Remember, Barachain was going to be a monster. In fact, the Barachain token did launch just the prior week, actually. So token launched, hit 1.3 bill FDV. And Barachain did what most of these chains are going to do. It's a ghost chain. There's nothing happening there. You see the founder still tweeting about it. There's people building on there, but it's, it went how I think a lot of people thought it would go, and probably is vapor by this time next year. Hoods, if I can, I will, right? I know the kids want to hang and stuff. Like, if I can, I will. That would be a lot of fun. Also, we had Rutherford Chang pass away. This is the creator of the Sense collection on Bitcoin, which I still think is one of the most special collections over there. I keep my prediction that I think a collection is going to go to a 1 Bitcoin floor, and I still say that's one of them that's in that group that could. It's a special collection, phenomenal artist. The lore of the collection's great. And, the unfortunate thing is him passing away is now part of the lore of that collection. It is what it is, right? Busy week, though. Busy week, and it just doesn't end there. This is like, they're just, reviewing the whole year, and I see every week was just this, like, blitz of stories. Crazy stuff. Now, this next week, and where are we at? February 18th, the Libra scandal hits. And if, the Trump coin was the beginning of the end, this might have been like the period or the exclamation point at the end of that. What a thing to rock this space. So the Libra token comes out. The president of Argentina attached to this coin. Of course, Hayden Davis, we learn who he is. This coin hits a 4.5 bill market cap. And within minutes, or let's just say a couple hours, from 4.5 bill down to 150 mil market cap. Scam. Insiders. Fuckery. Insanity. We got farmed on this. And of course, you remember all these tweets. Remember all these tweets from people like Dave Portnoy. All these insiders who got tokens. They got paid to tweet. And these guys all the while were selling tokens. And now they were trying to make a distinction. There's a difference between selling and swapping. Bullshit. They farmed us. Max extract is the thing we remember from that. Right? Hidden messages from Hayden Davis, or, private messages saying the plan is to max extract. And then accusations against Jupiter and I believe Meteora. And we thought, and I still believe, that the rot in this space goes much, much deeper than we realized. I think we knew, though, but this was like our confirmation that it's deep. And I still don't think we've had it all exposed, and I hope we do at some point. I hope we do. The OpenSea 2 OS2 beta launched. So that happened this week here too. Sam Spratt's Masquerade 1-1, just gorgeous piece. Sam Spratt is one of those special artists. Was sold to Canvas, who is secretly, people, I don't know if people know. No, I bet you people don't know. This is secretly, I don't know who the person is. I do know this is a tech billionaire. I know this is secretly a very, very famous, popular, wealthy someone. And they're among us. I'll just say that. They're among us. This, I think, this went for $3 million, guys. What a wild thing. More on this, too, because this was the, I will remember this year for art. That was one of those milestones. Yuga Labs sold me bits this week. So big week for Yuga Labs. Doodles announced their Dude token. Big announcement there. And the fact that it was on Solana, big. And Mega ETH minted their, is it Fluffle? Fluffle NFT. 1 ETH. Raised $13 million. Soulbound tokens. But I think those are going to be special still. In fact, did those lead to like pre-sale allocation stuff? Something like that? NFT volume at this point had bounced back 130 mil. Good stuff. And we got to keep moving because we got so much more to get to. Again, today might be a 2-part show. I might have to stop at the hour and then we kick it back up and get to the second half of the year, but let's keep moving. The following week is more on the regulatory front. We get word that the SEC investigation into Coinbase is over. Huge moment for the space. Needed it. Also, the investigation into OpenSea over, announced this week. The SEC investigation into Robinhood also ended this week. So it was a big week. At the same time, the SEC announced a new cyber and emerging technologies unit to combat misconduct across AI, crypto, the whole space, which is great. But we also saw the biggest hack in crypto history this week. I forgot all about this. Forgot all about it. The Bybit hack. Crazy. Over $1 billion stolen from Bybit. 1.4 bill. You guys remember that too, to, scramble to freeze this money. I think we had CZ. I'm trying to remember some of the other players that stepped in and tried to help and cover some funds. And right? That's right. Yeah, Bybit took out loans to kind of repay some of the money. Interesting stuff. They launched, oh, that's right. They were launching meme coins on Pump Fund. That was one of the ways they were trying to launder this money. Crazy stuff. And then Kanye back saying he is launching a coin. And ultimately, and we'll get to it, he did end up launching a coin. All right. As exciting as it was, It was exciting, but common story throughout the year, fear. We didn't get to celebrate the good times long because it was the fear that would come back just as quickly, right? We had the fear greed index from CoinMarketCap falling to 15. Extreme fear. Extreme fear. Bitcoin dumped to 78K. Truthfully, I can't remember the exact reason here. This was not tariff related? Maybe it was tariff related. I don't remember the exact it was following the hack. Maybe that was it. But the volatility has been there all year long. Crazy stuff. We had the strategic Bitcoin reserve established. And essentially it was like an order to, to report back with how we'll create it and fund it. But this was the executive order to create that Bitcoin reserve and the digital asset stockpile, which does include NFTs. Any seized assets are part of the stockpile. So there's NFTs there. There's some Bored Apes. I'm trying to remember what else. So that happened. We had the first White House Crypto Summit, the first of many. We've had quite a few of these, but first White House Crypto Summit. That's right. We talked about the FIFA World Cup. Trump saying never sell your Bitcoin. Love it. He says stuff like, I'm told you never sell your Bitcoin. Right. Pretty cool. And we also had, like, I think important words spoken. Was there some action? I think there was actually action here, though. U.S. banks can be validators on public blockchains. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And in fact, I believe we have a bank very recently that announced they are now running a validator or are a validator. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Remember, though, we're still at extreme fear here, just to help color what things were like. Heading now into mid-March, this is where things were fun. Maybe the market wasn't where we wanted it to be, but things were fun. Good Vibes Club. The good vibes came to NFTs, and I was going to say loved them. I still love them. I still love them. Good morning, DK. Happy New Year's Eve, brother. I still love GVC. I'm going to sell my GVC, but I still love them. I do. And I think it's a special collection. I think for me, it's the most memorable NFT collection of the year. I'm not going to count art. I'm probably going to give that to Beeple or Sam Spratt, but like GVC, I will remember for 25, and it's the NFT collection that I'm very sure survives, for the long run. I really believe that. So we had the GVC mint, which was great. Got in pre-reveal. I didn't mint them, but I got in pre-reveal. So glad I did. It is a nice community. The collection's great. We also had kind of the end of the Masquerade NFTs. So we had the 1-1 sale for $3 million, but we had the council meeting, which is cool. It's a whole gamified art experience. So you had the masks, right? And then you had the skulls and the player NFTs, but we had the council meeting, again, capping off his art experience. Sam Spratt is just amazing. Remember, Logic made the audio for a trailer he put out for this too, which is just so cool. And we had an announcement with details about Taproot Wizards. Also announced their fifth and final quest. You had to do a video in a wizard outfit explaining how you're going to raise 0.2 Bitcoin for this mint. And of course, I did it. Both. I did the video, I did a live stream as a wizard, and I minted that thing. Mint wasn't yet, but the details about the collection. 2,121 editions. They were already inscribed, by the way. It was inscribed very early on in 23. But it was the details, how much it's going to cost, when, and again, Quest 5 went live. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We'll see more Taproot Wizards coming up here. The following week, we have Pudgy Penguins making history. Really, really cool. Okay, we get the announcement that there's a Pengu ETF coming. We could just call it the Pudgy Penguin ETF because it's Pengu, yes, but it's also Pudgy Penguins that'll be included in this. This is not live yet, by the way. This is still one of those dominoes that falls. A good one. But the announcement of a Pengu and Pudgy Penguin ETF, which is awesome. Really cool moment. And by the way, this is like I would probably say the peak for NFTs this cycle is right around here, right? So the GVC minting, Taproot Wizards doing their thing, OpenSea with their OS2, Sam Spratt. And then we've got some big NFT sales, Zombie Punk. 420 ETH, 842 grand. Awesome, right? We hadn't seen sales like that in a minute. But, oh, we got another punk to talk about. I thought this was the one that was a big loss. No, this seller actually made $250,000 on that sale. So pretty damn cool. SEC this week ended litigation against Ripple. SEC issued some guidance to Bitcoin miners saying Bitcoin mining does not constitute a security, which was, I know, big for miners. We had the first SEC crypto roundtable. And then was this the week of, I think this was the Taproot Wizards mint as well. Pretty sure. Let me just make sure. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it was. If not, it's the following week. I think it was here, though. Yeah, there we go. Taproot Wizards mint. We also had this big bundle of mutants, right? Mutants, a bundle sold for 4 mega mutants for $2 million. Crazy. So the Taproot Wizards mint started this day. You know, team's going to raise $35 million from that. Biggest mint since the Azuki Elementals. Huge mint. I think the following week, we get more of those mint details. We also had hype around the upcoming Mibera and Steady Teddy's mint. So again, it was very much like NFT season right there. And then tariffs come around again. It's Liberation Day. More tariff talk, more uncertainty. What does it mean? Everyone expecting cost of living prices, whatever, to go up, and they did, and it wasn't great. And that just is a recurring theme throughout the year. Wasn't great. We had Doodles announce DreamNet. So Doodles announcing, I don't want to say a pivot, but kind of a pivot to AI. Wasn't received well. We've heard nothing about this. It is, I think, still coming. I think they have had talks with them to come on the show, and that's going to happen when they're ready for DreamNet. But that team is not the same team as when it was announced. So I don't know. But announcing that Dude is going to be the top level token for DreamNet. As of now, I'm going to say DreamNet's still coming. I think. The Taproot Wizards mint, though, that we were just talking about, like done in the books, wasn't great. It was a slow mint. It was a reverse Dutch auction, and the price just kept falling and falling. And we're watching. We just spent 0.2 Bitcoin in these. Where's that price going to fall to? Now, if you had whitelist, you're at 0.1, right? So, but where did it fall? It wasn't great. How many sold there? I wonder if I have that detail. Who remembers where Taproot Wizards sold out at? I can't remember the exact number, but secondary, they fell to 0.15. And we saw some big sales, but not what people were thinking. 0.87 was kind of the top there. I thought we'd see a lot more than that, and we just we didn't. So kind of a weak sale. Now, at the same time, just funny. It's funny thinking of what was happening there. The Studio Ghibli, whatever, that meta exploded, right? These AI, these LLMs they got really good and they got really fun. And you have these moments. I don't want to say it's like an onboarding event, but maybe in a way it was. I know more people that never touched AI that started to when this meta happened. And so, your timeline was filled with these Ghiblified versions of things. I even did it. My thumbnail, this day was me, but in that style, which was really cool. And for me, it was a milestone for AI this year. By the way, in all these newsletters, you should sign up, by the way, go to the Crypto Slam account on X and go to the link tree. It's called NFTs on Deck. Every single week this goes out. But 84 million NFT volume. So NFTs, as exciting as it was, you could feel that was the end, and the Taproot Wizards mint kind of was the end. Truthfully, though, our sales aren't much lower right now, so not terrible. But I also put, like, all the stories we cover is probably, it's a fraction of what happened that week, right? It's crazy. There's so much that goes on that we're not even going to talk about, right? But we had Nikita Bier, whatever, joining Solana as an advisor, right? Gutter Cats tried to, sell a token. They raised $1 million. We had that NFT documentary on Netflix. X2Y2 marketplace closed down. There was just so much that happened. And then the Telegram sticker store, their marketplace launched. And we had all these NFT projects launching stickers. We'll cover some of those here too. So much. SEC ended their investigation into Hawk 2. I saw there too, which is crazy stuff. The following week, God, so much happened. We're only in April. So much happened. Was at least me leaning into the nobody knows anything meta, right? I just thought Bitcoin would be this straight, up into the right thing and no volatility. And yet volatility was the theme of the year. It was. Right? Market dumps again. Nobody knows anything. At the same time, broader market fell and Bitcoin did too, but seeing it compared to the Mag 7 is where it kind of shined and where we were starting to think for the first time Bitcoin is maturing. It's becoming that store of value. It's becoming digital gold, right? Bitcoin hit an all-time high compared to those stocks, the Mag 7, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. Hit an all-time high against them. That's when we thought, okay, Bitcoin going to be less volatile. And Bitcoin now is digital gold. Of course, that's now changed. I still believe it is that, but that was the moment where I'm like, Bitcoin is now a different kind of asset. Interesting. Scott Besson said it's a store of value, right? This week, the House Financial Services Committee passed the Stables Act. And so regulation talk was starting to ramp up, right? SEC said stablecoins are not securities. Circle filed for an IPO this week, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. And we'll see a lot of that next year too. A lot of big IPOs, a lot of big ICOs next year too. Art sales. Again, I will remember 25 for being a big year for art. Not like previous years, but still like big art, important art pieces, really just like awesome sales. X-Copy sales. I remember the X-Copy sales spot just rolling, just constant sales. Big Beeple sales, some CryptoPunk sales, and then we had the Steady Teddies just the prior week. So this newsletter goes out on Tuesday, so it's covering everything from, late day Tuesday through, that Tuesday morning. So just a heads up. But Steady Teddies the prior week sold out. 3 mil in secondary sales volume over that week. One collector bought 411s for $100,000, and the top sale was almost $20,000. So Steady Teddies did pretty good. They did pretty good. And then more of the volatility. This around tariffs on, tariffs off. And this is when the market started reacting to the tariff news and like Trump's words less and less and less. And yes, as we got further along in the year, tariffs mattered less and less. Trump's words mattered less and less. DropKing, go to virtuals. They have a year in review. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Funny enough, I don't talk enough about virtuals in this year in review. I wish I did, because they had their milestone moments. Genesis went through multiple iterations, and it was great. In fact, I know I would already miss the first Genesis, Genesis V1. We do cover virtuals here, by the way. But tariffs on, tariffs off, whatever. Hard to get a feel for it. This is where we saw that big NFT loss, though, right? Big NFT loss. This is a $10 million loss somebody took on this alien punk. That bad boy right there. Crazy. Crazy. Sold for 4,000 ETH, $6 million, but last sold for 4,500 ETH, and ETH was worth a hell of a lot more, 16 million at that point. So huge loss, both in ETH terms, but also US dollars. I mean, 500 ETH loss, but again, the US dollar loss at 10 mil is just wild. You guys remember Wilcox guilty for his tax reportings, 6 years in prison. Crazy. But still, big sales, and especially on the higher end collectible side and art. We had Magic Eden acquire Slingshot. So it was a big moment for them. But then another hack, it wasn't great, but Mantra, their OM token crashes, plummets 90%. 6 billion goes poof. We see that time and time again. I'm so scared to touch so many of these products because of that, but yeah. We'll see a lot more of that. We will. Let's see. I don't remember if I mentioned, but the Genius Act, there was a lot of talk about it, that the Genius Act could pass by August. That's exactly what actually happened, which is great. There was a new SEC roundtable. So again, the talk of, regulations and the maturing of the crypto space just kept on keeping on. All right. The following week, we're now at the week of April 22nd, is word that China's selling their Bitcoin. And maybe part of what's going on in this market, and I would love to match this up when we got news that China's selling and compare it to the charts. But we got word that China's selling Bitcoin. They sold $1.3 billion worth, and they still had $16 billion to go. And funny enough, that story's come back since October. That story is right back, that they're still selling. They're almost actually through that $16 billion, but that is what's been hammering this space at specific times. Again, especially 1010, it's China selling Bitcoin. But traders flocking to gold hitting an all-time high, but Bitcoin climbing with it. Bitcoin climbing back to 91K, global M2 climbing. And of course, we still had that correlation. M2 up means Bitcoin's going to follow, lagging, but we still had that, which didn't play out. Base leans into content coins. That was April. So while there were NFTs before, this is where they made the switch to fungible tokens. Content becomes meme coins. And we, funny enough, talking about that even today, especially, this week. But content coins, born April of last year. And we had Jesse launch content coin that hit 20 mil and crashed quickly, I think, down to like 2 mil. It didn't work then. It still doesn't really work. Alon chimed in saying the timing's wrong. Like, he's with tokenize everything, but it's like, now it's not the time. People are not ready for that. And at this time, I believe, is when we had Paul Adkins sworn in as the new chair of the SEC. So still a busy week. A busy week. Oh man, we had the Eliza OS launchpad. This is actually when Virtual's Genesis launched. There we go. Okay, so we didn't miss it, but the Virtual's Genesis launchpad officially launched this past week. Replaced the Vader EAO. That's where we launched our Swarm token with Vader, and that is what evolved into Genesis directly on Virtuals. And that was really a big pivot for us here at Crypto Slam and the show especially. We pivoted and we've actually gone right back. But we were a show that covered everything. It was called Chain Reactor, covered everything in the markets, all the top stories, and then pivoted to focusing on AI everything. The guests that come on are AI. It's all virtuals. Really believed in it then, still believe in it now. But that was the moment. This was also the end this week of Magic Eden Season 1 of farming. Now, that became less and less of a story as we went. Even Season 1 wasn't really a story, but Magic Eden, we're going to hear a lot about Magic Eden next year. That I'm very sure about. And then NFT sales at that time, 90.8 mil. Getting lower and lower. And then back to Bitcoin. We're now at April 29th. Bitcoin interest. Who's Googling, who's searching for Bitcoin, right? Price is still close to all-time high, right? 91-ish K, 90K. Bitcoin holding strong, but no interest. Nobody cares. Well off peak interest, which was all the way back May 2021. At this point, we were down 80% from that high. So Bitcoin, again, we think is going to be pushing to all-time high. And I actually thought the thesis for that, or what made sense, is we're at 90K and nobody cares about Bitcoin. Imagine when they care and they start showing interest. Imagine what the price is going to look like then. And did it play out in a way it did? It actually did. Think about that. 90K. We saw 35K higher for Bitcoin later in the year. Kind of crazy to think about that, right? This week we also had a little tease. This wasn't officially announced, but there was an update in the Pokemon Home app that referenced, a platform that does NFTs. It was the first time we ever heard that Pokemon NFTs might actually be happening. And spoiler, just a couple weeks later, it was official. Pokemon NFTs on Sui, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. That week, the Trump meme team announced that they were locking up all their tokens that were going to unlock. There's a lot of fear in that token that we were going to see a big old dump because of team tokens. They locked them up. They announced a dinner for token holders. Top token holders get to go to another big Trump event, which I love. I think that's real utility. And so that dinner announced top 220 Trump token holders get to party with Donald Trump. Pretty damn cool. Now, this is the week with our new SEC chair, Paul Atkins, sworn in. And the man himself says making the United States the Bitcoin or the crypto capital of the world. Pretty cool. Into May, the Genius Act is now not looking as firm as it looked before. This was expected to pass very easily, as was the Clarity Act. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the talk about the Clarity Act right now is that it maybe doesn't pass at all. At all. It's kind of scary. What's up, Justin? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you too, man. That's what's up. But DK, I'm going to tell you this. That doesn't mean anything. No offense. It doesn't, because I'm in the top 5. I'm going to double check that it's most profitable or if it's just top 5 volume. I don't know. I only traded $4,000 on that platform. My volume was $4,000 and I'm in the top 5. So I don't know, man. I think it just shows we were a very small community, dude. No, actually, is that the opposite? Maybe it's bigger than I thought. But most people that were trading it didn't have money. And we know that was a problem on virtuals. They didn't have enough whales. That was a huge problem on virtuals. Not enough whales over there. Anyway, uncertainty about legislation. Genius Act support from Democrats starts evaporating. 9 Democrats this week flipped against the Genius Act and started wondering, what if that doesn't pass. And this is when we started seeing a more coordinated effort, or we'll say finger pointing against Trump and what he's doing in crypto, his meme coin and partnerships he has. And we knew World Liberty Financial was coming. It's like Trump is, like this gave Elizabeth Warren a lot of ammo, and maybe rightfully so. But Warren was saying, vote against the Genius Act. Vote against it. At the same time, Republicans still believed this would pass, and it did. It did. We'll get to that. Boop.fun launched early May. That was fun for maybe a day. That platform, it's not gone, but it's dead, and it's not even in the hands of the founder Dingling. He's passed it off to some other dude, and it's a big old nothing burger at this point. Nothing burger. But it was a moment, and it's not one I remember, right? When I think back to milestones of the year, I'm never going to think of this, but when you scroll, it's one of those things I completely forgot about. So it's fun to see. We had Claynosaurs announce a new collection coming to Sui. So we just got the tease or the hints that Pokemon would be there. Now we got big announcement from Claynosaurs that they would. Their new Popkins collection would be a Sui collection, which is pretty cool. And then we had some word on the strategic Bitcoin reserve fund. There was a report that was due on May 5th. I don't remember ever seeing it because I know later on, a few months down the road, we actually got it, but we didn't see, at least I didn't see the report that was supposed to be delivered on May 5th. But at the state level, we had some movement on the strategic Bitcoin reserves, most of it not good, right? Arizona blocked the strategic Bitcoin reserve, did not pass. North Carolina made some progress there, but Roswell, New Mexico became the first city in the United States to pass a bill to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is pretty damn cool. Somewhere in here, and I might not have it in my notes, but somewhere around here is when New Hampshire became the first state to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is pretty cool. And here's a major thing that happened back in May. Apple lost this big antitrust case, forcing them to allow crypto apps on the App Store, and especially apps that accept payments in crypto. That was a big thing that was hanging over this space because everything's gone mobile, and if you can't spend your crypto on, in these apps, it kind of throttles this industry. That was a big milestone for the space this year. Stablecoins issuer Tether announced this move into AI with Tether AI. Open source AI runtime can run on any hardware device with no API keys. This is still something that comes next year, and I think that's going to be super, super interesting. These stablecoin platforms, companies, whatever, those are going to be some of the biggest opportunities next year. And that right there, if there's a way to invest, don't know if there is, but that's the stuff I'm watching for next year. One of the biggest metas in next year. It's stablecoins, man. Wild. All right, let's peek, see if we had any other big stories here. Rec Brands partners with Abstract. Yep. DK on the Las Vegas Sphere. Awesome. FX Hash upgraded their site ahead of FXH token. We'll cover that here shortly. Boy, we are going to run out of time. I got to figure out if we cut it off halfway and then continue after. We're getting it all in today, no matter what. In fact, let me guys, hang on. Let me see if I can skip this meeting. Hang on. Apologies, dudes. All right, let me see. All right, I might try to get out of this meet. Look, if I got to end this, and we got like good 20 minutes. If I end it, we'll continue the show later this afternoon, right? We got Chart Monkeys coming up, me and Henry over on, other places. And then after that, I'll kick off the second half of this. Hopefully we just get it all in. So stay tuned. I'll keep you posted here. Okay, hang on. Let's get back to our top happenings here. Where are we at? We're at May 13th. Okay. More uncertainty around stablecoin legislation, man. Not great. It did not pass its vote in the Senate. I remember watching this too. I remember watching the votes come in and it wasn't getting them. Cynthia Loomis, who has been one of our loudest voices in the U.S. government, who is retiring, is not seeking re-election. This is our last year with her. And her biggest goal here is not strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's Genius Act. Again, Clarity Act is in big trouble. It's probably not going to pass, guys. Even though we've been hearing recently that, like, right, it would be by the end of the year. And then when that started looking shaky, it was like, it'll be okay. It'll be January. And we started hearing a little, well, if it's not by the end of January, it may get shelved. It might get shelved and, because it's not going to be a midterm. It's not going to be something people care about for the midterm. That's what's happening. Clarity Act is probably not going to pass. Don't know if it's good or not. We'll talk more about that. In fact, I might even say legislation is one of the biggest things to watch for next year. Maybe that's obvious. But the Genius Act here, getting in trouble. Virtuals was getting hot, right? We had the Virtuals Hackathon projects launching. Again, this is when the show started really leaning into virtuals and getting the virtuals builders on the show. It was a lot of fun, man. Had, I think altogether this year, guys, like 75-ish guests on the show. Pretty damn cool. Most of those AI virtuals related, but virtuals was getting hot. And the Dude token launched on Solana. So big moment for them. Big moment for the space. No, we started valuing stuff differently. Dude hits a 105 mil market cap. Falls down to 50 mil. It's probably, I'm just going to guess, 20-ish mil right now, maybe 30. I don't even know if it's that high. Very different space now. Very different space. It didn't do what we were thinking it would do. Or actually, maybe it did. Maybe it did exactly what we thought, which is not much. And then we round the corner to the second half of May, and we start really questioning, guys. Sell in May and walk away. That's what we hear all the time, right? Sell in May and walk away. And I'm never that guy. I'm not that guy. Smart people might have done that. Sell in May and walk away, or hold through June and to the moon. I don't know which one, but started getting, I don't know, interesting that month. Interesting because we have on one side the U.S. credit rating getting downgraded. First time ever. The first time ever. And at the same time, Bitcoin sees an all-time high weekly close. Closes at 107,000. Again, Bitcoin's different. Started really seeing it then. So what's going on now, right? With the stock market and metals at an all-time high, Bitcoin not, well off all-time high. What's so different between now and then? Something I think will come out and we'll know. But Bitcoin then was looking very, very interesting. We were right on target, I believe, to see 200K Bitcoin, 150, 200 this year. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. FTX was getting set to distribute $5 billion, again, part of their reimbursement to their creditors. So $5 billion, again, I looked at that as a stimmy, but also as potential sell pressure. Although I'm trying to remember if people got that back in like stables or cash, or if it was crypto. But either way, didn't mean anything. Didn't do anything. Did nothing. Of course, by this point, we had our Swarm agent that was live. The first agent in the Virtuals ACP. We worked with all these we worked with a lot of projects to help them get their agents ACP ready. We did a lot of work behind the scenes with the Virtuals teams and with Virtuals directly. So Swarm was live in ACP. We had some Virtuals kept tweaking their system, so staking Swarm earned you Virgin points back then, which is pretty damn cool. This is when Virtuals tweaked their launchpad too, right? So you had not just your Diamond Hand bonus, you had to stake your tokens to get those points. Kept getting these tweaks throughout from Virtuals. This was at the same time Beta retired their InfoFi system. InfoFi was throughout the year. I don't even cover it today. But InfoFi throughout the year, whole separate conversation, right? Good or bad. I didn't love it, but it's one of those things. It's here and it's never going to go away. But Vader was in the InfoFi game for a bit. And now, well, then they're out. I don't even know what Vader's doing these days. And then we finally got a win on the regulation front. We had the Genius Act passing the Senate. It happened. It happened. It was a milestone moment. So the Genius Act passes. I believe at that point still had to go to the House. So we'll see coming up here. But the Genius Act passing the Senate, big milestone. The last week of May here. And we're watching M2 continuing to climb. At the same time, Bitcoin's hitting another new all-time high. Correlation intact. 111,000 Bitcoin. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Okay, so guys, this meeting coming up. I do have to go to. I've got another like 10 to 15 minutes. When we stop, just know I will continue this. I'll continue this at the end later today. Okay, so just stay tuned. We'll have a second stream today. For now, let's just keep going. Just keep going. Okay, so Bitcoin all-time high, M2. Again, we think we have so much higher to go. So much higher to go. And again, we did. We did. But the tariffs come back, and the tariffs fucked us every time. They really did. We had new threats of new tariffs, 50% against the EU. It didn't stop us then, but that hanging over certainly hurt. Texas became the third state to pass a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. So we had New Hampshire. Did we get New Mexico? I'm trying to remember the second state. Wyoming didn't pass it, which was crazy. Cynthia Loomis's home state did not pass it. But we had New Hampshire, Texas, and I'm just trying to remember, was it one of the Carolinas? But God, I wish I remembered that. But this market seemed unstoppable at that point. And 6529, next 10 years are going to be the greatest show on earth. I believe that still. Nothing changed. The volatility now does not change my mind about what I think is coming over the next decade. And I believe still in the next 5-ish years. But that's my whole thesis and what I'm betting on. And is it wrong? We'll find out. But I'm betting on it. Virtuals was hot right here too. This is, I think, really the peak of virtuals. The Virgin meme coin, my best trade in the virtuals ecosystem. Virgin. Again, I didn't have to do anything. I just got it. Big milestone in the virtuals ecosystem. Actually, the top looked like it would be much higher at that point. It's like, okay, not only are we AI tokens, but now meme coins, and we're starting to have culture and community on base. This is a really special moment, I think. And I'm really bummed it didn't last. I think it's safe to say virtuals, it's not a virtuals comment, but the market there did not live up to my expectations. Much higher is what I thought. Much higher. And that's also about AI 16Z and everything. I thought much higher, much longer. It's a mistake. We thought June might be Rune June, so we started having that talk at the end of May. Rune June. And it was because Kraken CEO tweeted out dog. And essentially confirmation that we'd get the first ever major centralized exchange listing for a Rune. And not a wrapped Rune, by the way, like native integration. Rune's tradable on Kraken. We get the announcement, Runes start pumping. At that point, dog, 540 mil market cap. Beautiful. Crazy, because I think it's not even at 100 now. Gizmo up, everything up, even though it was a rough year, but everything up. Pretty cool. We got details about the Claynosaurus Popkins mint. So we got the mint date, which was just a couple days after this newsletter. So we got the date for that. A lot of stuff happened this week, by the way. The Pixels Founders DAO voted to dissolve. More on that as we get through the year too, but that was a big moment here, for maybe the 21-22 crowd. We had the FX hash token claim go live. Got to claim some tokens. It was a nice little stimmy from those boys. Thank you. And we had the Pizza Ninjas announce 1,500 new NFTs, which happened actually recently, the actual mint of those, but we got the announcement back then. NFT market at that point, 122 mil. Good stuff. All right, now into the second half of the year, we're in June. And what do we have? The Bitcoin Act introduced on the Senate floor, proposing that we buy 1 million Bitcoin. That's the proposal. Spoiler, that never happened. In fact, we're not going to be buying Bitcoin, which I think was a big hit to the space this year. Wasn't great. We also had more tariff news, right? A judge ruled that tariffs were not legal. That didn't really play out in any kind of way because the tariffs didn't stop. But judges were getting involved and tariffs were trying to be blocked. And again, didn't happen. But the Claynosaurus mint happens, mints out. That was an interesting mint. Started slow, started picking up steam, and then kind of quickly minted out by the end. It was awesome. I minted 1 or 2 of them. I forgot I have those still. I gotta go look for where that is, but I minted those. I'm excited to be in that ecosystem here. And then what? Oh boy, dude, I forgot about this. The Loud meme coin. You guys remember Loudio? So playing in InfoFi. So you attach a meme coin to InfoFi, you got Loudio. Failed experiment, but still fun experiment. I like experiments. So Loudio didn't work, but kind of like Boop. It's, it's a thing that happened. We won't remember it, but you review the year. It's something you got to mention. And then this was cool. I don't think this would make anybody's top list, but I think it was a really cool thing, which is Disney. Disney leaning into NFTs. We already know they have Pinnacle. We know Disney's got NFTs before on Flow, and now they're on Abstract, right? Those physical, or not physical, but those digital collectible, like Funko-y things. They're cool. But Disney's really, this is cool. And I don't think people are doing this. If you have Disney Plus, you get a free NFT every month. You get a claim over on Disney Pinnacle every month. I forgot about it. I logged into the platform just today to see if I could claim. I don't know my password, but it's still there. Free NFT every single month for Disney Plus subscribers. Really cool. Again, I think we forget just how mainstream NFTs are getting. Virtual's launched a referral program. Awesome. What else do we have? Wow. Anthropic CEO says 10 to 20% of entry-level white-collar jobs could be wiped out by AI starting in a year. I still don't know if that happens. I'm not in the mass job loss camp anymore. I'm not. I changed, a while back, but I don't think that's how it plays out. 10% maybe. I don't know. I'm just telling you, AI is making me more creative. That's something I can speak on more down the road. I'm just going to say, sign up for Ethos Swarm. I'm not going to say shit. I'm just saying that it's pretty magical. Go sign up, ethoswarm.ai. Yuga Labs sold the Moonbirds IP. Spencer owned those, or now owns them. Pixelvault liquidated their CryptoPunks treasury. More on this. A lot more on that, actually. There's so much that happened this year, guys. Now, this is a slower month. Virtuals gets into mainnet agents. We have the first, Ethereum mainnet agent launch. It's Iris, which I thought was where Virtuals really, really makes the leap, really explodes, really becomes like next level. Didn't happen. This was kind of the end of Genesis. It kind of was. Even if it's not the official end of Genesis, this was, I always say that's the period at the end of that statement. The Virtuals is done. At least for now, right? This is it. This was the period or exclamation point. This coin ripped to 100 mil market cap or so. It was a monster. Oh, okay, hang on. How high did it get? Yeah, hit 100 mil. It was a 500x from that pre-sale price. It was predicted to get there. It did get there. Monster coin. We had the Circle IPO. Again, expect a lot more of those. And this week, this was a big one. Confirmation that Pump Fund would be launching a token. It was a big one. In fact, we're still paying attention to that. And just like with Trump, and just like with, what was the other meme coin we were talking about? Traders selling all their tokens to get liquid for it. What was the other meme coin? The Trump coin, of course. What was the other meme coin? But whatever. You know how this works. Everybody dumps all their meme coin bags, getting liquid to go buy the getting the pump pre-sale. These things hurt. They hurt. They're not as great for the space as we might think. Maybe they are. I don't know. But man, hurt. Mass extraction. And with Pump Fund, it literally is a mass extraction. It literally. Amazon invests $20 billion here in the United States to advance AI innovation. That happened throughout the year. We don't cover that today, but throughout the year, massive investments, and the payout for that is next year when it starts. We start seeing things around what do those investments look like? Job creations, advancement in the tech. We start seeing that soon. We start seeing that very soon. NFT volume at that point, 115 mil. Let me just peek at headlines. What was going on here? Let's see. The Trump meme coin wallet. Remember that thing that came out with like Magic Eden? I think that was around here. Yeah. Wild. Stablecoin market cap just keeps climbing and climbing. Crazy. Again, just so much. And we've got another vote on the Genius Act there. Getting close to that Genius Act packing. But then, oh no, you can't have things too good for too long because now it's war talks. Not just tariffs, right? It's not just the regulations, it's war. And this is Israel, Iran, which you guys remember what it felt like here. It felt like great. Just another thing to add uncertainty to these markets. And it did. It did. We were also watching these FOMCs like we're doing now, but we hadn't had a rate cut in months and months at this point. And so we're watching, do we get a rate cut here? Are we going to get our rate cut in, at this point, what, 6 months? 7 months? So all eyes over there. The Genius Act at that point was set for its final Senate vote. And then stablecoins, like kind of on the back of the Genius Act. What happens? What's like the what's the tangible like impact of that? Well, it's Walmart and Amazon talking about launching stablecoins. It's Bank of America doing the exact same thing. It's Shopify enabling USDC payments. It's Circle stock ripping $165. Curious what that's at now, actually. Big stuff. We had Pudgy Penguins announce a partnership with NASCAR. They're partnering with everybody. Anybody big, they're partnering with. Huge. Rec drinks hitting the shelves of 7-Eleven stores. Big. They just announced it. I don't think we cover this, but they announced, by the way, a partnership with World Star Hip Hop. They announced a partnership. This is going back like a month, but a partnership with the X Games, which I think is where they debut their energy drink. And that's huge. I think that's huge. I think that's what can really break them into the mainstream. Their can looks like an energy drink. I think that's what they should be. Maybe a more healthy one, but we'll see. It's a big deal. This is a milestone moment for us. CryptoSlam revealing wallet DNA and our Swarm Copilot, which I still think is one of the coolest things that I don't want to say nobody, we've got hundreds of people using it, but it's, I think, one of the coolest things that we built that I'll always use. Gives you insights into trades. Look, if you're using Dex Screener or Gecko Terminal, it gives you on every transaction the IQ of that trader in the coin, like how well are they trading that coin versus everybody else trading that coin. Every transaction you see if that's a smart trader or a bad trader. You start finding who to copy, who to not. You see how early they were in that coin. You start seeing how profitable they are. You see at a glance the size of their bags. You see the wallets that funded them. It's really powerful stuff. So for us, that's a thing that behind the scenes is powering many things. Big moment. Real cool moment. This team cooks. Couple other things this week. Oh, Azuki launching stickers on Telegram. That happened kind of a lot throughout the year, and they did very well. Telegram stickers, I wish we were covering them on the website. Telegram stickers did really well this year. Like millions and millions and millions in volume. Good stuff. All right, the Iran-Israel fears. We had just bombed their nuke facility at this point. This is June 24th. They bombed their nuclear facilities, and there was fears that this would extend and become a much bigger thing, even after the ceasefire. So again, those fears just kind of hung over the markets here. In the end, it turned into nothing else except it's right back now. All of a sudden, there's new fears of Iran-Israel war. Actually, Iran just said, we're at war, all-out war with the United States and Israel. And I think the EU as well. So maybe that's not done. Maybe it's not done. God, I wish I brought up Bitcoin price at every week here too. Next year we'll get that in. This week, though, more stickers. Bored Apes launched stickers. A lot of these were, if you bought, you were in profits. But Bored Apes launched stickers. Doodles and Claynosaurs launched stickers. Cool stuff. And this week, and this was a big thing, the Genius Act passed. Officially passed the Senate. Waiting for the House to vote on it. And spoiler, it did pass. I think we're in August when it passes, but it took a little while to get there with the Genius Act. And again, unfortunately, it looks like the Clarity Act is not going to have that same fate. Look, I think the Clarity Act is really not going to pass, which is crazy. Visa called stablecoins the next generation of digital payments. Wild. Virtual's ACP started to be teased. So I jumped the gun a little with that, saying that we were in before. It hadn't launched yet, but we were in behind the scenes building and helping other teams get ACP ready. I remember this dude, there's so much people wouldn't know about the plans leading up to ACP and things that didn't happen that were going to happen. There's so much more. One day I'll get to share more, I hope. There was a much bigger thing that was planned around that. I'll just say that. The NSFW, not safe for work meta on virtuals happened. This was pretty, of course, very controversial. So like you had AI porn on virtuals, the same platform with some very reputable companies, projects, businesses, and I'd lump us in that. We do not want to be associated with that stuff, even on the same network. You got to split that off, and they haven't. That's fine. That's their decision. But this actually hurt virtuals. I can tell you for sure, there are some projects, names, whatever, who would not launch on virtuals because this is their next to it. For their brand, they can't be associated with that stuff. This actually hurts virtuals. In the long run, maybe it doesn't, but maybe it does. And maybe it does. And this was the time too when Matt Fury's NFT collection on that chainsaw platform were hacked, and people minting out. Awful Eye, dude, it's really good to see you, man. People would mint NFTs on that, unlimited numbers. It killed his NFTs. His NFTs are absolutely cooked. Absolutely cooked. Man, Awful Eye, it's really good to see you, man. You know what? So it wasn't OSF that sent it to me. It's our buddy Edge. So Edge did send them to me. I still got some cases. I'm saving some to, ship to the boys if they want to do it. But I did get the rec drinks. And by the way, OSF is coming on this show in a couple of weeks. So maybe I'll be sipping on one when he's on, but we'll have OSF on the show here really soon. Cool guy, was going to come on the marathon show, but had a commitment he couldn't break. Damn. Bummer. Believe it or not, I think I ended up on memes. I think I actually ended up like decently on memes. And unlike virtuals where I only did 4,000 volume, I did decent on memes. I don't do them much, but I'm very selective with that shit. What else? Okay, we had Pixel Vault Founders DAO officially being dissolved. And guys, I got to end it right there. I hate to do this out of nowhere, but I'm going to bookmark this. We're at June 24th. I'm going to continue this stream in a few hours. We go through the second half of the year. I'm sorry. I should have scheduled this different, started it like an hour early. But I'm going to do this stream again. We'll continue right here, get through the second half of the year, and it'll be within a few hours here. All right. I'm sorry. It kind of sucks. Anyway, subscribe to Crypto Slam on YouTube. We'll be live here again a little later today. Follow Crypto Slam IO on X. I hope you all make it back. I hope so. But we will definitely be back. If I don't see you, Happy New Year. Be safe. Have so much fucking fun. We'll see you in just a few hours here. Goodbye.